Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into some of the most mind-bending questions about who you really are. Look, if you just pause for a second right now and stare at something, you can actually feel what it feels like to be you, right? It feels like you're a thing, sitting inside a physical body, looking out at the world through your eyeballs. It's this totally everyday sensation, but it is arguably the greatest puzzle in the entire universe. So today, we are going to completely tear apart the very fabric of identity and awareness. Okay, let's kick things off with this incredibly bizarre surgical procedure called a hemispherectomy. This is a real medical procedure where half of a young patient's brain is literally removed. It's usually done to stop terrible, life-threatening seizures in babies or young kids. And remarkably, their young brains are still plastic enough that the remaining half will eventually take on the functions of the half that was removed. But this raises a profound, almost science fiction level question. I mean, think about it. If you could survive and function with just half a brain, what if I were to take two empty skulls, take one half of your brain and plop it into one body and put the other half into a totally different body? Which person would be you? You're aware of what's happening to you right now from your own perspective, sure, but where exactly does that perspective go if your brain is literally split in two? Section 1. Defining true consciousness. What exactly is awareness? To even begin approaching that split brain paradox, we first need to define what we're talking about. So the crucial point here is that consciousness is exactly what you see right here, your unique internal awareness of your own inner life. It's the active knowledge that you are the one having these experiences, and you're aware of your own thoughts. Literally nobody else on earth will ever see the world from your exact position. That highly specific, deeply personal viewpoint is the very core of what we call consciousness. Now, a really great way to understand consciousness is to look at things we all agree are not conscious. Think about a program like Cleverbot, which merely outputs programmed automatic responses, and contrast that with us humans, who actually possess intentions and a sense of self. Cleverbot is this amazing computer program that responds to your input super cleverly, but we don't consider it conscious because it has absolutely no sense of itself. It doesn't actually feel anything, you know? There's no inner life. It just automatically reacts. I know that I'm not like Cleverbot. I know I have feelings and intentions. Section 2. The philosophical zombie. Are others like you? This brings up a terrifying unknown. Science literally doesn't have an answer to whether other people are just what we call philosophical zombies. These would be beings who act perfectly human but feel absolutely nothing. They're just automatically responding like robots without knowing they are having thoughts. I mean, really think about how heavy that is for a second. How do I actually know that everybody else I meet isn't just a highly advanced walking version of Cleverbot? A philosophical zombie reacts, responds, and acts exactly like a normal human, but the lights are completely off inside. The most amazing and frankly unsettling part of this question is that science has zero answers for it. It's not even clear if science will ever have a way to prove that anyone else has that exact same inner life that you do. So, Section 3. Disorders of consciousness. When awareness breaks. Since we can't really solve the whole zombie problem, let's look at how this builds into the very real and totally befuddling psychology of clinical brain anomalies. In psychology classes, anosognosia is a classic example of a total disconnect. People who exhibit this condition are usually the victims of a severe stroke. There becomes this massive gap between what they are physically experiencing and their conscious awareness of it. So if you ask a patient to raise their right hand, they'll say, "Yeah, no problem," and they'll raise it. But ask them to raise their paralyzed left hand, and they'll enthusiastically agree, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem," but the hand won't move at all. And here is where it gets wild. Instead of reporting that they physically cannot move their hand, the patient's brain completely confabulates a casual excuse. When asked why the hand didn't move, they might simply say something like, I just didn't feel like it." They don't say they're paralyzed. Their conscious mind simply creates a total fiction to fill the void, confidently claiming they just chose not to move it. Then there's Anton Vambinsky syndrome, which is even more dramatic. These patients are cortically blind, meaning they cannot see a single thing. Yet the part of their brain that monitors visual input isn't telling them that, which leads to absolute denial. The brain isn't even registering the lack of visual input, so they completely deny being blind. If you test them, like asking them to count how many fingers you're holding up, they'll just throw out a completely random guess, and when they get it wrong, they don't admit they're blind. Just like with anosognosia, the speech center of their brain is forced to invent a reality on the spot. They'll instantly confabulate a defense mechanism, saying something like, "Oh, well, I don't have my glasses." Their consciousness literally lies to itself just to maintain its own sense of normalcy. Finally, Section 4. Paradoxes of identity.
impossible questions.
Studying these astonishing disorders only leads us further away from scientific answers and straight into more impossible questions about our identity. Let's walk through the famous swamp man scenario. Let's say I'm walking around in a swamp, and boom, I am completely burned to a crisp by lightning. I'm dissolved into absolute smithereens. But an instant later, another lightning strike perfectly reassembles random molecules from the swamp into my exact, identical configuration. Would that second person actually be me? It's the exact same arrangement of atoms. It would have all my memories, my thoughts, my quirks, my personality. But the original physical me was undoubtedly destroyed. So is that new entity a continuation of my consciousness? Or is it a brand new philosophical zombie who just happens to think he's me?
I am going to leave you with this final, completely impossible question to ponder about the fragile nature of who you really are, because honestly, no one on Earth has the definitive answer. Imagine a surgeon starts removing cells from you and cells from me, and one by one, exactly one at a time, they take my cells and put them into your body and your cells into my body. If this process goes on perfectly, one single cell at a time, at what exact point would I officially have become you? Does consciousness transfer with the very first cell, the millionth cell, when exactly 51% of the brain is swapped? It completely challenges everything we think we know about individuality. Just think about that the next time you pause to feel what it's like to be you.